As I sit here surrounded by the memories of a lifetime, I'm reminded of the wise words my grandmother Aurora would often share. The greatest mysteries are not those we seek, but those we uncover about the ones we love. To me, Aurora was an open book, her heart as transparent as her blue eyes, which sparkled like a summer sky on a cloudless day. Her hugs had a way of healing any pain, and her laughter could light up a room. But little did I know, her passing would unravel a tangled thread of secrets, forever changing the fabric of our family's history. It was on the day of her funeral, as I was going through her belongings, that I stumbled upon something unexpected. Amidst the familiar scent of old perfume and worn pages, I found an old wooden box tucked away in a corner of her dresser. The box itself was unassuming, its surface bearing the scars of years gone by. But as I opened it, my fingers brushed against something peculiar. A worn leather diary, its cover creaking softly as I lifted it out. The pages within were yellowed with age, whispering tales of a life lived long ago. As I delicately opened the diary, a shiver ran down my spine. This was not the Aurora I thought I knew. The entries spoke of a depth, a complexity, and a love that I had never imagined. It was as if I was holding a piece of her that she had kept hidden, even from me. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. Everything I thought I knew about Aurora, about our family's history, was about to be rewritten. Over the coming hours and days, as I pored over the pages of this hidden diary, I discovered a life of extraordinary courage, a forbidden love that spanned generations, and a lost treasure that had been the subject of whispers and wonder. It's a story of love, sacrifice, and the enduring power of the human spirit, set against the backdrop of historical turmoil and family secrets. As I share this journey with you, I invite you to bear witness to the revelations that shook our family to its core. It's a tale that will take you through the shadows of the past, into the light of understanding, and ultimately, to the realization that even the most seemingly ordinary lives can hold the most extraordinary secrets. Join me as we embark on this emotional odyssey, uncovering the hidden legacy of Grandma Aurora, one page at a time. In the late 1930s, nestled in the heart of America, lay Willow Creek, a small, quiet rural town untouched by the rapid changes sweeping the nation. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the air was sweet with the scent of blooming wildflowers and the sky stretched out in endless blue. Here life was simple, dictated by the rhythms of nature. Mornings broke with the sun, and nights fell under a canopy of stars. Aurora, a young woman with a heart full of dreams and a mind full of wonder, lived on a modest farm on the outskirts of town. Her days were filled with the routines of rural life, helping her parents in the fields, attending school, and spending starry nights lost in the pages of a good book. She was a dreamer, with an imagination that often carried her beyond the rolling hills and familiar streets of Willow Creek. The family was close-knit, bound together by love and hard work. Aurora's parents, farmers with calloused hands and warm smiles, worked tirelessly to till the land and bring forth a harvest. Her older brother, Thomas, was a young man with a passion that set his soul on fire. He dreamed of soaring through the skies, of being an aviator, and nothing seemed to deter him from his goal. Then there was Lily, the youngest, with a poetic soul and a way of seeing the world that was both whimsical and profound. Daily life in Willow Creek was a tapestry of simple joys and contentment. Mornings began early, with the sun peeking over the horizon, casting a golden glow over the fields. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of fresh earth and growing things. Evenings were spent gathered around the radio, listening to news of a world beyond their own, or sitting on the porch, watching the stars twinkle to life. But amidst this peaceful backdrop, Aurora felt an inner restlessness, a sense of yearning for something more. It was a subtle stirring, a quiet whisper in the depths of her soul that she couldn't quite articulate. She felt it in the moments she spent alone, lost in her thoughts, with her nose buried in a book, or gazing up at the stars, wondering what lay beyond the horizon. This unspoken desire, this sense of discontent, was a gentle hum in the background of her life, a foreshadowing of the path that lay ahead. Little did she know, the tranquility of Willow Creek was about to be shattered, and her life would forever be changed. As the seasons changed in Willow Creek, the air grew thick with an unsettling sense of change. News of European tensions trickled in through the radio and newspapers, casting a shadow over the once peaceful community. At first, it seemed like a distant rumble, a far-off storm that wouldn't quite reach their quiet corner of the world. But as the broadcasts grew more urgent and the headlines more dire, the tranquility of the town began to fray. In Aurora's household, reactions to the war news varied. Thomas's eyes sparkled with excitement. The thought of adventure, of flying planes and seeing the world was exhilarating. Her parents, however, exchanged worried glances. Their livelihood depended on the land, and the thought of war disrupting their simple life was daunting. Aurora, meanwhile, felt a growing sense of unease. She had always dreamed of a world beyond Willow Creek, but the reality of war was something different altogether. The romantic ideal she had harped for so long began to seem naive, even foolish, in the face of such brutality. As she sat by the lamplight, scribbling in her diary, Aurora's thoughts swirled with questions. What was the point of it all? Why did people have to fight and die? The world seemed so fragile, so fleeting, and yet so unjust. Her handwriting grew more agitated as she wrote, the words tumbling out in a rush. It was on one of these restless evenings as she walked through the town that Aurora noticed a stranger. He was young, in a military uniform, and there was something about him that seemed different. Not just his sharp jawline or the piercing look in his eyes, but an air of quiet confidence, of secrets kept. As their gazes met, a spark of curiosity flared to life within her. The stranger's name was Elias, and his arrival in Willow Creek was not mere coincidence. There was a purpose to his presence, a mission that only he knew. As he and Aurora began to talk, the charged air between them grew thicker, a sense of forbidden possibility hanging like a challenge. Elias was not like the other boys in town. There was an edge to him, a hardness that spoke of experiences beyond their simple lives. And yet, as he looked at Aurora, his eyes softened, revealing a glimmer of kindness, of genuine interest. The world around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them, suspended in a moment of pure connection. But as the night drew to a close and Elias turned to leave, Aurora felt a shiver run down her spine. There was something he wasn't telling her, something hidden behind those piercing eyes. And she knew in that moment that she was drawn into a web of danger, where love and war were perilously intertwined. Little did she know, her life was about to change forever. As the days turned into weeks, the stolen moments between Aurora and Elias became the beacon of hope in the darkening landscape of Willow Creek. Their secret meetings, often under the guise of chance encounters, blossomed into a source of solace and strength for both. The barn with its rustic scent and soft hay, and the sunflower field, with its towering stalks and bright yellow blooms, became their sanctuaries. It was in these fleeting moments, with the world around them on the brink of chaos, that their bond deepened, their love growing like a flame that burns brightest in the darkest of times. Elias, with his piercing gaze and whispered words, began to reveal to Aurora the true nature of his presence in their quiet town. He was not merely a lost soul seeking refuge. He was a German scientist, a deserter from a war that had consumed his homeland. His mission, fraught with danger, was to find a powerful encryption device, an artifact rumored to have the potential to change the course of the war. This device, Elias confessed, was his reason for being in Willow Creek, hidden away in the hope that it might one day be used to bring peace, rather than destruction. But as Elias and Aurora's love grew, so did the shadow of danger. Nazi agents disguised as ordinary civilians began to appear in Willow Creek. Their presence was like a cold wind, bringing with it an air of paranoia and fear. These agents, with their scrutinizing eyes and casual inquiries, seemed to be searching for something or someone. The once peaceful town was now a place of hushed conversations and wary glances. It was during one of their secret meetings, as they strolled through the sunflower field, that Elias shared with Aurora the location of the artifact. Hidden beneath the old church in an ancient labyrinth left behind by his mentor, a brilliant clockmaker, the device lay waiting. This labyrinth, a network of dusty passages and hidden chambers, held secrets of its own, whispers of a time long past. Aurora, once a passive observer of the unfolding drama, found herself drawn into Elias's mission. With a growing sense of courage and resourcefulness, she began to play an active role, navigating the dangers alongside Elias. Her diary, once a repository of her innermost thoughts and feelings, became a confidant, a witness to her transformation. In its pages she poured out her fears, her love, and her determination to stand by Elias, no matter the cost. As they embarked on their perilous journey, the stakes were higher than ever. The Nazi agents were closing in, their presence a constant reminder of the danger that lurked in every shadow. But Aurora and Elias, bound by their love and their quest, pressed on into the unknown. The diary, filled with the story of their love and their bravery, would be the testament to their journey, a beacon of hope in a world torn apart by war. As Aurora's hands trembled, she grasped the ancient relic, her heart racing with anticipation. The air was thick with tension, the flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on the damp stone walls of the underground labyrinth. Elias's eyes locked onto hers, a silent understanding passing between them. They had finally found it, the device of untold power, hidden away by the brilliant clockmaker. The silence was shattered by the sound of dripping water, echoing footsteps, and the rustling of fabric. Nazi agents, their faces twisted with malice, emerged from the darkness, guns drawn. Aurora's breath caught in her throat as Elias positioned himself between her and their pursuers, his eyes burning with a fierce determination. The confrontation was chaotic, the sound of gunfire and scuffling footsteps reverberating through the narrow passages. Aurora darted between the agents, using her knowledge of the labyrinth to evade their grasp. Elias fought valiantly, taking down several of their pursuers, but he was outnumbered. As the battle raged on, Aurora's fear turned to panic. Elias was wounded, his movements slowing. With a surge of adrenaline, she rushed to his side, helping him to stay upright. But it was too late. Cornered and outgunned, Elias made the ultimate sacrifice. With his last ounce of strength, he pushed Aurora toward the exit, the device clutched in her trembling hands. "Aurora, take it," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "You must get out of here. This device. It's the key. Don't let them use it for evil." His eyes, filled with a deep sadness, locked onto hers. "I love you, Aurora. Never forget." Aurora's world shattered as Elias's body slumped against hers. She cradled him in her arms, tears streaming down her face. The sound of gunfire and footsteps receded into the distance as she stumbled through the labyrinth, the device clutched to her chest. The darkness seemed to close in around her, but she pressed on, driven by a newfound sense of purpose. Elias's sacrifice would not be in vain. She would ensure the device was used for good, that his legacy lived on. The diary, once a private confidant, now became a testament to their love and her mission. As she emerged into the night air, the cool breeze carried the whispers of Elias's words. Aurora's heart ached, but she stood tall, the weight of the device and Elias's sacrifice propelling her forward. She knew that her journey had just begun, one that would take her down a path of courage, sacrifice, and redemption. The moon cast a silver glow on her face, illuminating the determination etched on her features. She would carry Elias's love and legacy with her, forever. As I emerged from the labyrinth, the darkness seemed to swallow me whole, like a shroud cast over the world. The rain lashed down, a relentless drumbeat that echoed the turmoil within me. I stumbled through the night, the artifact clutched to my chest, its weight a constant reminder of the price Elias had paid. The memories of his sacrifice replayed in my mind like a macabre dance, each step feeling like a betrayal, as if I was leaving him behind all over again. The return home was a blur, a haze of tears and grief. My family, concerned by my absence, greeted me with worried faces, but I couldn't find the words to explain the chasm that had opened within me. I felt like a stranger in my own home, a fugitive from the truth. The news of Elias's death, presented as an accident, was a bitter pill to swallow. I had to don a mask of normalcy, to pretend that the Elias I loved had simply vanished, leaving me with a hollow ache. But the pain was a living thing, a creature that clawed at my insides, refusing to be silenced. The diary, once a sanctuary, became my sole confidant, a repository for the anguish and the weight of the promise I had made. I poured my heart onto its pages, the words bleeding out like tears, as I struggled to come to terms with the loss. The pain was a fire that burned within me, a constant reminder of what I had lost, and what I had to do. As the days passed, my isolation deepened. My family noticed the change in me, the distant look in my eyes, but they couldn't fathom the depth of my sorrow. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of secrets, the burden of which threatened to consume me. The artifact, now a tangible connection to Elias, seemed to pulse with a life of its own, a reminder of the mission I had undertaken. In the quiet moments, I began to steel myself for the journey ahead. I pored over Elias's notes, the cryptic messages and diagrams, a puzzle I was determined to solve. The diary became my guide, a roadmap to understanding the artifact and the legacy Elias had left behind. I started to frequent the local library, searching for clues, driven by a nascent resolve to honor his memory. The musty smell of old books and the whispered silence of the library became my solace, a refuge from the turmoil that churned within me. As I read, I began to sense the enormity of Elias's vision, the scope of his sacrifice. The artifact, once a mysterious object, started to reveal its secrets, and with them, a sense of purpose began to crystallize within me. I knew that I had to see this through, to carry the torch of his legacy no matter the cost. The grief still lingered, a raw wound, but it was slowly being overtaken by a determination to act, to make a difference. I was no longer just Aurora, lost in her grief. I was a guardian of Elias's memory, a keeper of his secrets, and a warrior for his cause. As I reflect on Grandma Aurora's life, I recall the pivotal moment she left Willow Creek, a small town now etched in her memory like a bittersweet melody. The pain of Elias's sacrifice still lingered, but she knew she had to move forward, driven by a burning desire to fulfill his legacy. With the artifact safely in her possession, Aurora set her sights on a larger city, seeking anonymity to continue her secret mission. In this new, modest environment, Aurora settled into a small apartment, its walls adorned with maps, books, and documents. Her days blended into a routine of intense research and learning. As she pored over Elias's diary, seeking guidance and wisdom, libraries and archives became her sanctuaries, where she immersed herself in the world of cryptography and intelligence. Discreetly, she consulted experts, carefully extracting information that would aid her in understanding the artifact's true power. As the weeks turned into months, Aurora's comprehension of the artifact grew. It was more than a simple encryption device. It was a powerful tool for intelligence, capable of deciphering enemy codes and predicting strategic movements. With each new discovery, her determination intensified, and she began to develop skills in observation, discretion, and counterintelligence. Elias's diary remained her primary guide, but she was rapidly becoming a self-taught agent, driven by necessity and her promise to him. I recall the way Grandma Aurora would recount her experiences, her eyes sparkling with a hint of pride and accomplishment. She learned to decipher coded messages, subtly evading surveillance as she gathered information in public settings. At a bustling train station, she observed suspicious individuals, her mind racing with possibilities. In a quiet cafe, she assembled and disassembled parts of the artifact, her hands moving with a newfound confidence. Yet, amidst this growth and transformation, Aurora's solitude weighed heavily on her heart. The emotional toll of her secret life was a constant companion, but she refused to let it consume her. Instead, she channeled her emotions into her mission, fueled by Elias's memory and the importance of her task. The Nazi threat still loomed large, with agents actively searching for the artifact, forcing Aurora to remain vigilant and constantly aware of the danger. One tense moment, etched in her memory, occurred when she narrowly avoided detection by a suspicious individual. She had been tracking the person for hours, her senses on high alert, as she followed them through the winding streets of the city. The air was thick with tension, but Aurora remained focused, her heart pounding in her chest. She managed to evade them, disappearing into the crowd, but the encounter left her shaken. The memory of that close call lingered, a stark reminder of the perils she faced. Despite these challenges, Aurora persevered, her spirit unbroken. As she navigated the complex web of espionage, she began to realize the true extent of her growth. From a grieving young woman, she had evolved into a resourceful and capable individual, driven by a sense of purpose and duty. The artifact, once a symbol of Elias's sacrifice, had become a catalyst for her transformation, propelling her into a world of secrets, danger, and intrigue. And though the road ahead would be fraught with peril, Grandma Aurora stood ready, her heart still bearing the scars of her past, but her spirit now tempered with a newfound strength and resilience. As the war finally drew to a close, Aurora felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over her. The artifact, once a burden, had become a powerful tool in the hands of the Allies. She had played a crucial role in transmitting crucial intelligence, frustrating enemy plans, and contributing to strategic victories. The memories of Elias of his sacrifice, and of the countless lives saved through her efforts, now brought a sense of quiet satisfaction. Aurora returned to Willow Creek, the place where her journey had begun. But she didn't return as the same young woman who had left. She had been transformed by her experiences. The artifact, now a cherished symbol of Elias and her past, was carefully stored in a beautiful music box. The music box became a reminder of the peace and remembrance that had defined her journey. As she settled into her new life, Aurora dedicated herself to community building and supporting war-affected families. She used her experiences to help others, sharing her wisdom and serenity with those around her. The people of Willow Creek came to know her as a kind and compassionate soul, a wise and loving grandmother who had lived a life of extraordinary depth. Years passed and Aurora's legend grew. Her granddaughter, the narrator, would often sit at her feet, listening in awe as she shared stories of her adventures. The narrator began to understand that Aurora's seemingly simple life was built upon extraordinary experiences and profound sacrifices. The diary, once a secret, had revealed the depth of her character. As the narrator looked back, she realized that her grandmother's life had been a testament to the enduring power of love and sacrifice. Aurora's story was one of transformation, of growth, and of the human spirit's capacity for resilience and courage. The music box, with the artifacts safely stored inside, remained a cherished family heirloom, a reminder of the sacrifices made and the love that had endured. In the twilight of her years, Aurora's wisdom and serenity had become a beacon of hope for those around her. Her legacy lived on, a reminder of the transformative power of love and sacrifice. As the narrator reflected on her grandmother's life, she knew that she had been blessed to have known her, and that her story would continue to inspire generations to come. The music box, now a symbol of peace and remembrance, played softly in the background, a reminder of the extraordinary life of Grandma Aurora. As I sit here surrounded by the memories of my grandmother Aurora, I find myself lost in the pages of her hidden diary. What was once a simple, mysterious book has become a map to her soul, a window into the extraordinary life she lived and the sacrifices she made. Reading her words, I feel like I'm unraveling the threads of a tapestry, each strand weaving together to form a picture of a woman who was far more complex, far more beautiful, than I ever could have imagined. I remember the stories she used to tell me as a child, tales of fairies and heroes, of magic and bravery. At the time I thought they were just simple fantasies, meant to entertain and inspire. But now I realize that those stories were metaphors for her own life, a heroic journey that she lived in secret. The fairies were the people she helped, the heroes were the ones she loved and lost, and the magic was the strength and resilience that carried her through even the darkest times. Aurora's legacy is not just the artifacts she saved, or the secrets she kept. It's the silent strength she embodied, the wisdom she shared through her stories, and the unconditional love she gave to everyone around her. It's the complexity and beauty of life's tapestry, woven from threads of joy and sorrow, triumph and defeat. As I reflect on her story, I see parallels between her struggles and triumphs and my own life. I realize that I'm not just reading about her experiences, I'm living them too. I'm facing my own challenges, my own fears, and my own doubts. But I'm also finding my own strength, my own resilience, and my own courage. Aurora's story has become a guide for me, a reminder that I too can overcome anything, that I too can make a difference. Reading her diary has been an emotional journey, a catharsis of sorts. It's allowed me to find peace, to understand life and courage in a way that I never could have before. The diary has become a personal treasure, a symbol of the love and legacy that Aurora left behind. As I look directly at you, I want you to know that her story is not just hers, it's mine and it's yours too. We all have our own hidden stories, our own secrets and struggles. And it's time to share them, to let them out of the shadows and into the light. Aurora's story teaches us that our lives are not just a series of events, but a tapestry of love, sacrifice, and resilience. It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, to leave a legacy that will inspire and guide future generations. So I encourage you to find your own hidden stories, to share them with the world, and to let the power of love and sacrifice guide you on your own journey. As we close the chapter on Grandma Aurora's remarkable story, we're reminded that life is a tapestry woven with threads of love, sacrifice, and resilience. Her journey, marked by courage and determination, teaches us that even in the darkest times, there's always hope. The discovery of her hidden diary not only revealed the depth of her experiences, but also showed us that our lives are a reflection of the choices we make and the legacies we leave behind. If Aurora's story has touched your heart, then its purpose has been fulfilled. This story doesn't end here. It continues through you, in the way you live your life, in the challenges you face, and in the love you share with others. As we say goodbye to Aurora's tale, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on the power of hidden legacies and the impact they have on our lives. Please leave a like if you're inspired by Aurora's story, subscribe to our channel for more tales of courage and resilience, and share this story with someone who might find solace and strength in it. As the music fades and the curtains close on this chapter, I leave you with a question. What secret do you think Grandma Aurora held dearest to her heart, and what legacy will you create for those who come after you?